slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't.
How to train for a marathon in 1 year is a question that a lot of runners out there are asking. In my opinion, I think the best option you can do for yourself if you're training for a marathon is to give yourself 12 months to prepare. I always talk about in other videos, minimum time frame is 16 weeks to 24 weeks. Okay, if you're going to prepare for a marathon, you have to do it the right way, and that's be very patient with yourself. This is not a 1,500 meter race. This is not a 5,000 on the track. It's not a 10,000 on the track. This is a totally different ball game, and the marathon definitely takes a long time to get right. Okay, there are athletes out there such as myself who haven't run a marathon in over 10 years. And as you know, I recently announced I'm running the 2024 Valencia Marathon, and I'm giving myself a year to prepare for that race. So I started training for that in December. Actually, prior to that, I actually started running in the second week of November, just trying to get myself back into jogging shape. Okay, I mean, my race weight in November, I mean, I was probably about 185 pounds, close to 190 pounds in November. You know, I don't know what I am right now. I'm not paying attention to weight, but I do think by the time I get to Valencia, I should be back down under somewhere around 155 pounds, which is where I'm aiming to be at. That's usually my race weight. You know, I'm 5'11", so about 150 to 155 pounds by Valencia. But I think for training for a marathon, giving yourself and how to prepare for a marathon in a year, I think the first thing you have to focus on first and foremost is aerobic mileage. First, be patient with yourself. Get out and spend several months. Okay, and what I'm doing the first 6 months, all I'm doing really is mainly the first 4 months of my buildup was just aerobic mileage. I was just focused on easy running. I was doing 5 to 6 50-meter strides 3 times a week. I had not started any type of track workouts, tempo runs, anything of that sort for the first 4 months of my build-up. It's not been until like the past 2 months that I started doing very light track sessions, like 8 400s, 12 400s on the track at around 5:15, 5:20 mile pace, 5:25 mile pace. Doing tempo runs, first starting off in the low to mid 6s per mile pace, and then just recently getting into the 5:40s, 5:30s mile pace for those tempo runs. And again, I always talk about first you have to focus on getting yourself adjusted and adapted to doing 2 to 4 mile tempo run before you start thinking about doing tempo runs of like 7 to 12 miles in length. Okay, or doing faster long runs. Okay, faster long runs. An easy long run will take a lot out of you. Okay, I did a 14 miler yesterday, and I was running very relaxed, but man, it took me. I did everything. Drank several ounces of fluid when I got back. I took down 2 20-gram protein bars when I got back as well. Obviously did a lot of stretching, used the compression device that I have for my legs to help recover from that run. Again, we all have to start somewhere. So for you, if you're training for a marathon, give yourself a year. Okay, if you really want to do this right, and anything that you want to do right is good. You have to do things correctly in training as well. Okay, so a longer buildup is always better than trying to prepare for a marathon in 8 to 12 weeks. Yes, there are athletes out there preparing and doing a very good, solid job training for a marathon in a matter of 3 months. And again, this also comes down to when was the last time you raced? Have you been training for marathons and racing marathons, every few months for the past several years? Okay, you're very strong. You're very strong mentally as well as physically, but it's a different ballgame for an athlete like such as myself, and you may be one of them as well, that haven't run a marathon or haven't raced in a race in over 10 years, okay, or several years. Okay, give yourself, if it was 2 or 3 years ago. So you have to be very patient and think more long term as you prepare for your marathon race. Again, the first focus should be aerobic base mileage for at least 3 to 4 months during that 12-month block of training. Also, give yourself at least 2 weeks off during that 12-month block. Okay, I'm not training for 12 months straight without giving myself a few days here and there off throughout the 12-month block. Okay, you have to make sure that, one, you're not training 12 months straight with no breaks. Okay, there has to be some form of, a day off here and there as you prepare. And I think that's a better approach too, so that you ensure that you're adapting, you ensure you're recovering from your race as your race preparation. I also think jumping in a few races is important. I have a 10-mile race that I have planned that I'm aiming to run at around goal half marathon pace, and then a half marathon at aiming for around 10 seconds faster than marathon race pace in that particular race. And I may go much faster, but I want to be a little bit more conservative just to see where I'm at in that 10-mile and half marathon race as well. So I think doing some time trials throughout your 12-month block of training is important too. That might mean maybe doing a 5-mile time trial and see where you're at, or maybe doing a 10-mile tempo run at maybe just to see how strong you are in that 10-mile tempo run as well. I think obviously working on speed is very important during that 12-month block of training. That gives you plenty of time to get it right, to get your goal race pace to feel easier for you. I mean, I can tell you, training for Valencia, okay, I'm going to be doing some track sessions that are significantly faster than the time goal I'm aiming for Valencia. Okay, I'm going to be aiming for doing repeat 1600s under 5 minutes, doing some repeat 2 miles under about 5:05 per rep, or under 10:10 per 2 mile rep. And again, that's going to take me some time to get to that type of fitness. Currently, in second day of June, I'm not able to hit those types of splits right now, but I do aim to be hitting those types of splits at the end of September timeframe, or early October. Around that time frame, I'm going to definitely be aiming to run down toward 5K race pace, 10K race pace. I want to get that goal marathon race pace to feel easier. And the same for you. I want you to, when you're thinking of a year, you're not in as much of a rush. You're not going to place as much stress on yourself training for a marathon in like 12 weeks or 16 weeks. Yes, you still, and again, this comes down to the overall fitness level of the athlete, the amount of racing you've been doing. Again, if you've been racing for a lot and you've been racing for a lot of months and you're in physical fitness, you're in great physical fitness and mental fitness, it's a different story versus somebody that hasn't ran a race in several years. But again, if you haven't run a race in several years, just know too that muscle memory is there. Okay, the workouts you've done in the past, the races you've done in the past, they're still in your legs. You still have that mental power. You still have that physiological power, but you're going to have to be patient with yourself and be willing to take your licks out there on the track and on the roads. There's going to be days where you're not going to be able to hit the splits that you're aiming for. Okay, that's where the long-term vision and the long-term approach comes, where when you're training for a marathon. I think the better bet is giving yourself 12 months versus giving yourself 2 months or 3 months of training. I definitely think for most athletes, if you're getting ready for a marathon, you can do very, very well with a 5 to 6 month buildup. But giving yourself 12 months, again, you have a lot more wiggle room there. You have a lot more time to obviously as well throw in some races, sprinkle in some races, some time trials throughout your buildup. Also, as you train for your marathon in 1 year, you have more of a strategic plan. You can make your plan about how you're going to set up your long runs. Okay, when I mentioned earlier that first 4 months during my buildup here for Valencia, I haven't really done any type of fast long runs at all. Okay, I have done some long runs just recently with some faster mile splits sprinkling in. But I don't plan on doing any extremely fast long runs. Like what I mean by that is, working toward 15 to 17 miles of a 23 long run at under 6-minute mile pace until really around September, October timeframe. Okay, so it's still mainly just focusing on building the endurance, getting the long run extended out toward 20 miles to 23 miles. As I go further along in the year, that's what I plan on doing. Okay, I might do a couple 50K long runs just to get the marathon race distance to feel easier. And I'm not going to do many of those. I may do a two to three 50K long runs in my entire 12-month block. Okay. Also, think about consistency as you train for your marathon in a year. Okay, if you make sure that if you're training for this whatever event you're aiming for, and you have a specific amount of mileage you want to be hitting each week, stick to that plan, and also adjust your plan as you go along your build-up. Okay, if you're feeling weak, it's okay to take a couple light jog days in the place of the track sessions you had planned, or the tempo runs you had planned, or a faster long run that you had planned. Instead of doing that faster long run, jog the long run. Okay, always listen to your body first. Okay, don't stress the energy systems of the body too soon. Do the very best you can. That's all we can do as athletes. Okay, if you haven't raced in many years, it's going to be it's a challenge. You don't know. I don't know what I can do, but I can definitely find out what I'm capable of based off the workouts I'm doing in training. I always say this: make training the most difficult part of the preparation. Okay, when it comes down to the race day, that's a celebration of your hard work. Okay, that's not the day to stress out, and overthink and overanalyze. So I hope this video in terms of how to train for a marathon in 1 year is helpful for you. If you haven't raced in several years or several months, again, I think training for a marathon in 12 months is plenty of time to get it right, to think long term, to allow sufficient time for your body to adapt to what you're throwing at it and help you succeed. Please, if you have any other questions or concerns, leave me a comment below. I'll definitely reach back out to you. Check out the resources below these videos as well. There's plenty of resources there that will help you get to the next level in your fitness as well as your racing. And I wish you all the best in your upcoming races, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.